So I wasn't happy with this story, and we have to start again. But I knew this was going to happen, that's why I said I'd have to wait. So first of all, this is the title we came up with. Very boring. So we're gonna call it Knots in the Veil. So we start with, when the first lights cracked open the heavens and the void, and the stars began weaving their first myth, I sailed upon the ocean where stars first see my light and began forming my constellation. What a fucking run-on. How did we not catch that? We're gonna say, when the first lights cracked the dark, the long darkness of the void. And then we'll pause. Hello. And say, do you remember how the void split open? Like a yawn. And then we will say, I sailed, not upon, because if you're sailing, you're already upon something. I sailed the ocean where stars first see my light, but that's too vague. Where stars come to learn my name. Let's stop here, move this down. Don't worry, this is just how I edit, so it's gonna be messy, but like it'll look better at the end. So we still want to keep the information intact. I'm not trying to change the information too much. Whoa, what did my girl glyph like that? Don't like that. I don't know what to do for this next part. I don't know how to say it. I threaded. So we want to use words that are kind of like a myth, because that's what I decided. I'm going to change this whole thing basically into a myth, which it kind of is, but we could say oh, my camera, what are you doing? Stay still. Don't wanna. I threaded my light into a swoop, into a shape. I called it a constellation. Okay, when the first lights cracked the long darkness of the void, do you remember how the void split open like a yawn? No, because we're saying void twice. When the first lights cracked the long dark, do you remember how the void split open like a yawn? I sailed the ocean where stars come to learn my name. I threaded my light into a shape. I called it a constellation. I hummed to it, the Veil Keeper answered. Oh, Kepper. Okay, so we do want to keep our colors. That was actually really helpful because I used weird names. So that's the same information, just written nicely. I threaded my light into a shape. I called it a constellation. I hummed to it. The Veil Keeper answered. Okay, so now we're rewriting this second paragraph. They took the vigil. It might be better if I write above it and then delete what I've written. That way we're all on the same page, but usually I just edit the way that I just did. They took the vigil. So we can delete this line. They keep the threshold between what is tidy and what is hungry, because chaos is hungry. So we don't need that. Now it's shorter. Look at that whole thing, so much better. Everything reads so much more smoothly. I think this whole process will be much faster than before, and I'm also not going to get distracted, I hope. I told them, watch. They bowed. So we set the watch. The Veil Keeper. I don't like this. The Veil Keeper. Am I spelling veil wrong? I don't know. The Tide. And I. Now we have to write about the chaos. And later, the troubles began. Okay. When the first lights cracked the long dark, do you remember how the void split open like a yawn? I sailed the ocean where stars come to learn my name. I threaded my light into a shape. I called it a constellation. I hummed to it. The Veil Keeper answered. They took the vigil. They keep the threshold between what is tidy and what is hungry. I told them watch. They bowed. So we set the watch, the Veil Keeper, the Tide, and I. And later, the troubles began. Perfect! Look at that! That reads so much better than what we had before. We do want to change. And it's crazy, what we had before was fine. It's just you want it to read really smoothly when you're using like weird words to describe what you're doing. Why is it not letting me do the thing? Because otherwise it's just way too hard for people to follow. Now we want a transitional, not phrase, but sentence. So we'll say, listen. Listen close. I will tell you this as if the stars leaned in. Oh, learned. 3 knots of mischief. Now you see where I got knots from. How do you spell mischief? Chief, right? Mischief. Wound themselves into my sky. Now we're just going to take this. The globular cluster, the stellar remnants, and the intrusive. Each one arrived like an excuse. Like an excuse. Yeah, okay. Each one wanted something it did not own. So this sentence is meant to you can just introduce something big like this and it's fine. But this gives us a reason. This part here gives us, as a reader, a reason to want to continue. The names are kind of interesting, but what if I said it was like Tom, Dave, and Sally for these names? You need something that kind of encourages your reader, like hooks them in. But my hook is a bit longer than a normal hook, and that's okay. It doesn't, it's writing, who gives a fuck? Okay. So it is in the ocean. We could probably keep in the ocean, but we don't ever say the ocean. Oh, we do say the ocean up here. I sailed the ocean. Okay. We should keep the setting. Okay. In the ocean, what do we have? The globular cluster and a group of intermittent stars drifted to me organically before settling into my constellation. So how did they drift in? Organically, but we don't want to say organically. In the ocean, the globular cluster drifted. Hello, Nushi. Drifted in first. Yeah, I'm having a bit of a weird time trying to figure out when I can stream. Today I had unexpected time again, and I was like, I'm gonna do this anyway. But this time it should be much faster than last time. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. So they drifted in first, slow as a secret. How are you doing today, Nushi? They came one by one. They, how do I want to say this? Like shy little lights that learned to cling. Because we're painting an overall picture. Although this isn't accurate, that's okay. Doing great, maybe. What genre am I writing? It's hard to explain. So I'm doing it in the style that I have all of my WraithStars stuff in, which I would say it's kind of like a mix between celestial images, so things that have to do with space and stars, and there's a little bit of some kind of science. So with celestial stuff you can add in like metaphors that have to do with the ocean or water, mostly because of the tie of the firmament, but it just works really well when you look at the sky like an ocean. And I already wrote this story. I'm rewriting the story as a myth, that's all. So I'm changing it. It should be, I mean, in the end it's going to end up being longer, but it's going to be shorter in some places. But so if I'm gonna like give it some tags, I would say celestial, I don't know, water vibes, but there's also some eldritch types of things and like kind of like SCP. This one is just a simple little myth, so I'm not gonna have the spookier things that I like to write in it. Kind of science. Oh yeah, I guess it is science fiction. Yes, you're right. I'm just fucking dumb. So they braided themselves. Oh, they braided themselves together like gossip. They were intermittent, which remember we have that right there. Polite in their flickers. but hungry for the meaning of being chosen. Okay, so this whole thing just became this one paragraph now. See, that's what I was, when I read it at the end of the last stream that I did, I was like, shit, this is really wordy. And sometimes this happens. You can see it in my art too. I notice that if I do anything creative, it's the first like several versions are so fucking overworked. They just look terrible. Do you have I played more Position 1 games? No, but I did ask Requiem to teach me how to play. Which should be better, and then I'll play more. That Position 1 game, so I appreciate your advice, but you lacked a lot of context, and I wasn't in a good headspace to respond. I can respond now, well, not now, but like, you know, kind of. But, I'm trying to play with one person. Our MMR is just a little too far. So literally I had to win one game, and I was like, what could I fucking play where I could just win one game and it will take only one game? And I was like, it has to be a carry. And just based on what I've seen, I think that Position 1 has the most impact in a game overall. I know every fucking person who comes into my chat says that it's support, but like, I don't actually determine if a game is won or not as a support. I really don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all. I think if I was a better support, maybe, but I'm not. So with my capabilities, I just want to win one game. I was like, I can't fuck up PA. I was wrong. I was wrong. Whoa, I disagree. Helm Dom. I keep seeing fucking people taking carries to the off lane with their Helm Dom, and they don't even control the Helm Dom. You have to control it. I guess it's good if you control it, but like in my games, these people are not controlling it. So I was just thinking, PA, she scales pretty well, you know, it should be fine. But then like that game was so hard. I learned that I messed up my whole thing, I guess. I don't really know. But I didn't build treads before building Battle Fury, because usually what happens is I don't farm that well, ever. And when I'm really behind, if I build treads first, I don't end up getting Battle Fury until like 35 minutes. So I was like, I'm just going to build Battle Fury because then it'll be fine. Except I guess I've learned how to farm better. And so then it just looks like my timings look really ridiculous. So I didn't know it was gonna be like that. That's fine. I have to start. Okay. Oh, all right. Let's read it. Make sure we like it. When the first lights cracked the long dark, do you remember how the void split open like a yawn? I sailed the ocean where the stars come, where stars come to learn my name. I threaded my light into a shape. I called it a constellation. I hummed to it. The Veil Keeper answered. They took the vigil. They kept the threshold between what is tidy and what is hungry. I told them, watch. They bowed. So we set the watch, the Veil Keeper, the tide, and I, and later the troubles began. Listen close. I will tell you this, as if the stars leaned in. 3 knots of mischief wound themselves into my sky, the globular cluster, the stellar remnants, and the intrusive. Each one arrived like an excuse. Each one wanted something it did not own. In the ocean, the globular cluster drifted in first, slow as a secret. They came, one by one, like a shy, don't add words, like shy little lights that learned to cling. I don't think we should say little, but if we say little, it makes it make more sense to cling. They braided themselves together like gossip. They were intermittent, polite in their flickers, but hungry for the meaning of being chosen. I like it. You think position 2 is easier to win games when you play under my MMR? So that's what Requiem told me. Requiem was like, if you want, so he asked, why do you want to learn position 1? And I was like, because I want to have the most impact in my games. And he's like, position 2 is the role that does that. And I was like, but listen, I've seen people play their hero really well as a position 2, but not be the deciding factor. I feel like the deciding factor in a game is a position 1, not any of the other positions. But I understand that I'm looking at it without taking into account what the roles all do. It's just like I'm thinking about my abilities. If I want to win a game, you know how I've never won a game? Being fucking middle. That wasn't me doing something with my knowledge. Maybe if I learned the role, I can see, like, if I learned it, I would know enough about how to do things. But what I don't understand, the biggest concern I have is, let's say you're a position 2 and you see an opportunity to gank with a power rune. But in the process, you aren't successful. You die, or one of your heroes in whatever lane you're ganking dies. Then the enemy position 2 has free farmed and has not rotated. Now you fucked up the farm for whatever the core is in the lane that you went to. You fucked up their experience. Someone died. And if it wasn't you, you also fucked up your farm. You see what I'm saying? Like, that sounds scary. I don't like that. You can go vanilla boots, but if there's no kill, you can just blink away anyways, and you can build your first battle. So I had vanilla boots. Oh my god, we have to take a detour, I feel like. Let's talk about it real quick because we're thinking about it. So we are taking a detour. It's like always Dota. I didn't know this would become this. Since on position 2 you get both solo experience and solo farm. Position 1 your support might put you at a disadvantage. Well, let's go look if it loads. We need game capture. It should pop up, maybe. Why do you not see it? Oh, there we go. I can't see. My camera's in the way. I guess I just need to see this. We're just gonna look at this page. So this is what I started with. And then I had brown boots and a wand by 4 minutes. 5 minutes, I guess. And then I was like, at this point, look how many times I've died. I was like, holy fuckaroni, bro. I was like, I don't know what to do, but I can't be in my lane. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to farm, and if I'm gonna have to farm anyway, and I don't farm very well, I want a farming item, so I'm just gonna build the farming item. So I built the cornucopia because it gives me the health regen so I can endure attacking creeps. And then I don't really care about the mana regen, but the damage should be good too. And I get it. If I just completed these into treads, I could use the treads better. But like, I don't fucking toggle my treads that well. I fucking forget that's a thing all the time. We have to work up to that, okay? So I get the Battle Fury at 22 minutes, and I have the brown boots and a wand. But like at this point, I've died 6 times. I did not actually participate with those 2 assists. I like barely did anything, and I died for it, so it was awesome. It was so cool. It was super duper. And then what ended up happening is, we can just go through it. I completed the treads at 25 minutes. And then I got these items, and I didn't know what to build. But what ended up happening was this guy and this guy carried the game, for sure. This guy was in the off lane. I don't know what he did. Every team fight that I ended up going to, I don't know what he was doing. He did stuff, I guess, but I don't remember anything that he did. This guy didn't do anything helpful for me at all. And what's interesting is I had a weird social experience when I was talking about this, where like I was told that I should have built my treads before Battle Fury, and that the specific words that were used were that I griefed my game. Hi. By not building treads before Battle Fury. But like I tried to explain why I did it, and then somebody else said the same thing. So I was like, okay, well, I accept that I did that. And I was like, but like I was having a rough time, and I don't normally farm okay-ish. So because I wasn't getting any help from my Oracle, that's why I did this. And what was weird was the experience I had was like 2 people were like thinking I was pushing blame onto the Oracle. I just wanted to complain about the Oracle. I accept that I didn't build correctly. But like this whole thing, this conversation about the treads, the Battle Fury, that became like a whole fucking argument because these people didn't understand that I just wanted to complain about the fucking Oracle. I already accepted my responsibility that I didn't build the treads before Battle Fury. I accept that. I'll do it next time. But I didn't say those words. I didn't say I'll do it next time. I think that's what they wanted. I don't know. It was very weird. It was very weird. And then when I look at it, I do understand that because I switched the topic so quickly from accepting responsibility to this, talking about the Oracle, they thought I was like, I see where they're coming from, but like I don't give a fuck. Like I feel like my words were pretty fucking clear. I even said one time in this conversation, 5 times actually, I was like, I accept responsibility, I didn't build blah 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 blah. I said it like 5 fucking times, and then one guy was like, why are you arguing? And I was like, I'm not motherfucker. I accepted the responsibility. Okay, I accepted it. Okay. Depends on if you won the trade. No, I didn't win the trade. You're dying. Enemy 3 heroes died. That's good. Oh, I see. We're talking about if I were to rotate. Oh, okay. You think position 1? Epsilon? You don't like Deso on PA. Somebody in my game told me to get Deso. Slardar told me to get Deso, and at the time that guy was carrying the game, so I was like, I'll do anything that's not going to piss the guy off because I need him to win the game. Because I just needed to win the game. I just needed to win the game. It was a free Slardar game. Yeah, look at their team. You don't think it's not a grief? PA can get away without buying treads in lane. Rushing cornucopia is better. Thank you. I thought specifically for my instance, which let me show you what I'm talking about so we're all on the same fucking page. Where's PA? There she is. Okay.
Phantom
so this was that game. Oh, you can't. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna hide myself. Oh, that's... Shh. So this was that game. The last one. Okay. And then the next one is this one. I didn't know I could click on it. That's funny. Which I did better on, but the timing is bad. So let's go to it actually now. Oh, is this me? Oh, this is me. Okay. This time I finished the treads, but I also had Wraith Band, and I had an Orb of Corrosion. I don't know how to build, okay? I don't know why people don't understand it, because I say it pretty often when it comes to anything to do with carries. I do not understand on position 1, 2, or 3 how to build. I don't know. No idea. No idea. Nope. No idea. I don't know. I don't understand. I'm trying. I think I've learned more than I have in the past. No fucking clue. Okay, I just assume I don't have a clue. But every time I say this, you know what people don't assume? They don't assume that I don't have a clue. Anyway, so this one, I end up getting the Battle Fury by 20 minutes. It is much faster, but then I have like extra items. The game was better. I'm 5'2". Like, you know what I mean? Okay, let's go back.
Where falls my shadow, fells my blade.
Oh, these are actually not that bad. Sometimes they're bad. Sometimes they're like this one isn't that good. Why am I dressed like this? Whatever, that's who we are. But again, I got a Wraith Band, and then I buy the Cornucopia. But I have no boots. Look at that, no boots. I didn't get my boots until 15. Just assume I don't know what I'm doing. When was this game? Does it say on this page? No, it doesn't. How do I figure out when this game was?
I sting from the shadows.
This one was in June. Oh, thanks so much for subbing. So like what am I supposed to do? I don't know. I'd have to learn how to build items first. I was playing Dragon Knight again because I just wanted to win the game. I didn't win the game. But I was playing Dragon Knight, and I asked, because I was on a call, I asked Requiem, like, what do I build? And he was like, well, you shouldn't play a hero that you don't know how to build. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway, okay? Alright, that's what I'm gonna do. So on him, where are we at? I had 1 assist and boots at 5 minutes. Sorry, my camera's blocking that small section. I had the completed boots at 11, which that's not good. And then I went to a blink because I was like, I don't know. I think I want to get in there and stun probably, like the Pudge. That's what I was thinking. So here we are. This is, look, I apparently played better than I have in the past. Wow, good for me. I don't know what I'm doing. If I look, is there like a way? I wonder.
I'm here to blur the line between life
Oh, this
and
is
death.
just what they show you. There's no other way to see any kind of stats in Dota. I thought there was. Is there maybe? No, it's not this. I don't know. And then again, like looking at this, I know that it looks stupid that I said I thought I'd have the most impact as a position 1 when I've played so many support games. Oh, look at this Fen. Ugh. It's Fen off. But like, these games are really a toss-up. I don't know if we're gonna win or lose if I'm playing a support. At least here I can just try. Okay. We just talked about that game. Now we're going back. I did want to finish rewriting the story. Don't worry, it's not going to take that long. But after that, I'm done. Among the 5 of the... Let's do this. Who made that braided gossip? Because if we go up, we have braided gossip up here. So we have to read each one of these real quick. Not this one. I have a better way of writing this, I think. Oh! I didn't know I could do that. The fading ember was the ember that could not endure. They burned out first. See that? That sounds stupid. They burned out. I don't like that. whispering that they disliked that I refused to extinguish the stellar remnants. The whole thing just feels like too much, too many words. So we're gonna just push that away. We're gonna say it's the we're gonna keep this part actually. So was the ember that could not endure. But now we're gonna get rid of this one. It burned its little truth. We're saying little to match with how we were talking about little lights when we're discussing the globular cluster. Oops. It burned its little truth, and then whispered. I can't see what I'm writing. Oh. Whispered away. Whispered it away. It left first, as embers do. Saying it disliked. Whoop. That I would not. How do you spell stuff? Stuff? Snuff. Snuff, stuff, snuff, stuff. Snuff out the stellar remnants. And I just want the color and I don't want to have to go through menus, so I'm just being lazy. Let's make sure there's no weird spaces. It could not bear my mercy. I feel like this is honest. The Whisper of Ash. So there again, it's like just too wordy for no good reason. So it's a cinder with a tongue of smoke. It drifted. Whoop. Right, because we're saying it's carried by the wind. It drifted on currents. And we want currents because we want the ocean play. It drifted on currents. How do we want to write this? It drifted on currents, carrying shadow smoke. We're gonna make that as a combined word. I wonder what these combined words are called. I don't actually know. Shadow smoke, shadow words. Oops. From mouth to ear. It loved the dark better than the light. So we have cinder, a play on fire. A tongue of smoke is when they're speaking against. Drifting on currents is a play with water. Shadow words is kind of like the darker vibe. And then we do discuss light. So we need a play on light. It begged access to my river. My private flow of small life pieces. That's kind of interesting. Life pieces. I think that will work. And when I asked it, it showed me warm rot of its betrayals. Betrayals. Oops. Fucking, I can't, bro. I cannot type. That doesn't even look like a real word. So it returns, always returns, orbiting, loyalty, like a toy. Sometimes, oops, it admits, embarrassingly. It enjoys, oh, I spelled that wrong. Listen, don't judge me, judgy pants. It enjoys speaking ill of me in the dark. Oh. I do not let my light hitch a ride into its pockets. Okay, so we go from the whisper of ash is a drifting cinder carried by wind, burning in no one's hearth for long. They carried whispers between shadows, speaking against me and against the stellar remnants in secret. They revealed this to me, even showed me fragments of their own betrayals when pressed. They continue to drift in and out, but their orbit is unstable. They play at loyalty without knowing its weight. They repeated their return, requesting access to my constellation river, where I share pieces of my life apart from the ocean. But I know now that they are bound to the globular cluster's constellation, and subtly they admitted they enjoy speaking ill of me in the darkness. My light will not be carried into the shadows of the globular cluster. Okay, so like, get the fuck out of that. We're done with that. That's so tedious to read. Who wants to read that? Dumb. Don't like it. Now, the whisper of ash is a cinder with a tongue of smoke. It drifted on currents, carrying shadow words from mouth to ear. It loved the dark better than the light. It begged access to my river, my private flow of small life pieces. And when I asked it, it showed me warm rot of its betrayal. We're gonna say the. It returns, always returns, orbiting loyalty like a toy. Sometimes it admits, embarrassingly, it enjoys speaking ill of me in the dark. I do not let my light hitch a ride into its pockets. This one, we don't actually use commas for this. We're making a point, and that's how I remember if we do this. We're making a point. So in this one, this is fine, but we could still write it in the same style. And this style that I'm writing is notably different from the previous style. So, like, it's gonna look the same. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna just show you what I mean. I'll keep both again. Okay, so the fractured mirror is a glass that shatters when, at the sight of another's fate. No, at the sight of fate. Because fate implies it belongs to another. Is it, did I say loyally? I didn't say loyalty. No, I said loyalty. What? Orbiting, no. I see. So listen. Going back to the Whisper of Ash, Seven Wells, it says, the Whisper of Ash is a cinder with the tongue of smoke. So there's somebody who lies. They are somebody who lies. It drifted. It is the person. Okay, so it's a person. A person drifted on currents, carrying shadow words from mouth to ear. So it's a person who lies that goes between groups lying. It, again, I'm not giving it a gender, but the person loved the dark better than the light. So in this case, this is a story about WraithStars as a character. So I am the light, not the dark. So it begged access to my river, a small a private, sorry, I can't, a private flow of small life pieces, a place where I share information. And when it asked, it showed me the warm rot of its betrayals. So, warm rot is fresh, and betrayal. It returns, always returns, orbiting loyalty like a toy, because previously, the way that I had worded this was about how it's loyal to the globular cluster, which is what this whole paragraph is about. The 5 people who belong to the globular cluster. And I talk about how it drifts and it shares shadow words from mouth to ear. So it drifts from group to group. Its loyalty drifts as well. And I say orbiting loyalty like a toy because they treat loyalty like something to play with rather than being loyal. And sometimes it admits, embarrassingly, but it doesn't know that it's embarrassing. So like me saying it in this context is like me as the narrator sharing that I think it's embarrassing, that it enjoys speaking ill of me in the dark. So again, I've already said that they have a tongue of smoke, they carry shadow words from mouth to ear, and they drift between groups. So this person, the Whisper of Ash, lies between groups, doesn't stay loyal to a group, and they have revealed to me that they are not loyal to me and they like speaking ill of me. But in the dark, not in a place that's open and accessible to others. And because it's drifting, I do not let it hitch a ride into... So I don't let my light hitch a ride into its pockets. I'm not going to drift with it. What is this? This is a story I wrote about a situation I experienced, and I just thought it would be really funny if I wrote it as a story, and so I started to write it as a story. There's the previous stream, you can see my first draft and then my second draft, and this is the third draft. I realized after I expanded this story at the end of the last stream that I could write this better, because everything is just like overworked. And sometimes this happens with like anything I do creatively. I have to take a break from it, and during that time different ideas come to me, and then I can put it all together and it looks much better. So we're just going to rewrite the whole thing. We are about a third of the way done, and I don't I don't think it's gonna take that long. I keep saying it, but I keep getting distracted by like talks about Dota. So the fractured mirror is a glass that shatters at the sight of fate. When the ember, do we call him the fading ember? When the fading ember left, we don't want to say left because it couldn't bear my mercy, so it fled. When the fading ember fled, the mirror cracked into politeness. It dissolved in pieces, playing surprised when I named its resentment. Our paths, it said, might yet be the same. But some things only ever reflect themselves. Okay, so the previous version of this is, the fractured mirror is a mirror that shatters when it sees another's fate. It dimmed in fragments after the fading ember departed. It began vanishing piece by piece. Its quiet resentment was obvious. When confronted, it feigned surprise, saying our trajectory could still be the same. So we have now changed that to be, the fractured mirror is a glass that shatters at the sight of fate. When the fading ember fled, the mirror cracked into politeness. It dissolved in pieces, playing surprised when I named its resentment. Our paths, it said, might yet be the same, but some things only ever reflect themselves. See that? That reads better. And what we're doing is we're changing this whole thing so that it is a myth. I'm just writing it as a myth, that's all. So now we can get rid of this part. Loyally is the adverb. Oh. It returns orbiting. Well, yes, but it's not returning to me loyally. It pretends to. So if it's pretending to, wouldn't I say loyalty? Because it is orbiting loyalty. It is not orbiting loyally. Does that make sense? Which one do I use? It's not orbiting me loyally. It is orbiting the concept of loyalty. Treating concepts as a physical object and giving them kinetic actions, it's going to produce some very interesting prose. I think so too. Thank you. Your style is very nice. Thank you so much. Do you write a lot? Yes, but this isn't the normal style. This celestial thing I've picked up in the last, I don't know, couple of years. I used to... It comes a little bit easier to me because I used to, like, way back, I used to have a Tumblr that I only spoke about, like, celestial things. I would do, like, I had, like, I don't know, just posts where I would introduce, like, different nebulas, different galaxies, different whatever. So a lot of these things are there in my head, but not like this. This is harder. This is why when you read the previous version, it's like a little fluffed. I have to work a little bit harder to get it where I want it to be. I do write, I wouldn't say a lot. It's hard to say. So, like, if I get an idea and I can't stop thinking about the idea, I have to write it down. So that has resulted in, I need to do it. I haven't gotten to it, but I really should. I have a story. It's about necromancers. It's a dark fantasy. I would say like young adult, because it's like a coming of age type of story of sorts. But it's like 100,000. It's 110,000 words, and it's not. Technically it's complete. But obviously it's not edited, and I now doing something like this actually helps me because I think I have a better idea of how I want to do it. But then if I want to rework this whole fucking thing, it's gonna take forever. It's 110,000 words. Like, what am I gonna do? The overall like timeline and plot and everything should work out fine if I change it, but it's daunting. I have a few other stories that. Oh, is it not that one? I have a different one. I actually have two other ones, but they're not that long. They're like, one is like 40,000 words, the other is like 30. But one is, so one I went in and I was like, I'm gonna just write a novel. So I went in knowing that's what I wanted to do. And then I like slept on it for a while, and then I had this idea for like the opening part of it. And like something that happens to me is usually I get distracted by world building, which I know it happens to a lot of people, but it's like really distracting. So to explain what I'm talking about, at the beginning of the 30,000 story, this one is also dark fantasy. In a way it's coming of age, but not actually, not in the typical sense. Anyway, in that story, I'm not looking at the chat, so give me a minute. In that story, it is about two thieves in like a dark fantasy world that are trying to steal treasure from a group, okay? And that's how it starts. And what ends up happening is one of them is convinced to go into a contract with basically like a demon in order to survive the experience. So like that's the problem. Dude's locked into a contract. So like that's how it starts out. But like at the very beginning, I was like trying to figure out how to explain how they jump off of a building, okay? And then I had to like draw the fucking building and like draw like a layout of it. And like that whole process took forever. You wouldn't think it would. You think just like sketch it and be done. I couldn't. So like shit like that really distracts me. Already for this story that we're looking at right now, because I have this on this channel, I have already started to draw like the ocean and the river. I'm gonna make a video where I read this whole thing, and I have these guys. I made these. Like I just get distracted by this shit. But anyway, the second story, the 40,000 one, is like the sequel to the 30,000 one. And the problem is, obviously, it's a bit too long. But I don't know what to do with one of the characters. I realized, like, because I do this thing where I just, like, don't read it for a while, and then I go back and I reread it and I see if I like it or not. And then when I did that, I was like, oh shit, I don't know where the fuck this guy went in the middle of the story. I don't even have that many characters. I was like, he comes back, but his absence isn't explained. And because I want him to be important, I have to explain his absence. And I can't figure out a way where I think it fits and is acceptable. So I haven't touched any of those 3 stories. And then this one came to mind. So I was like, this one should be a short story. We should be fine. I'll just write it. And then I was like, if I'm streaming, you know, like it should help me focus. I think we can rewrite this whole thing today though. That's why I keep saying it shouldn't be that long. Shattered instead of cracked if it later dissolves. Where are we talking about cracked? Oh, we already used shatter. Okay, let's see. The fractured mirror is a glass that shatters at the sight of fate. When the fading ember fled, the mirror cracked into politeness. It dissolved in pieces, playing surprised when I named its resentment. I guess we could say shattered, but I like cracked because it's like starting to shatter. I like this better. It shatters at the sight of fate. So it's dissolved. It dissolved into pieces though, so it split into pieces. Oh, Void, how nice to see you. How are you? I have played League, yes, Nushi. I played League from 2011 at least. I know it had to be sooner than that. 2010. I played League from 2010 until 2015. And then I picked up Dota because the guy I was dating at the time played Dota, or like he wanted to play Dota. He thought League looked too... He was like a contrarian, so he just didn't want to play a mainstream game. I wasn't very good at League though, but I really liked the people that I played with. So then I switched to Dota. I've been playing Dota off and on since 2016. Mostly, but a little bit of 2015. You say wow, but I didn't play that often. But yeah, I mostly played support and Annie. I liked Annie mid, but I don't like any of the other heroes mid. I tried, you know what's weird? In League, I always had this experience in League, and I tried to replicate it in Dota, but I couldn't ever. I can play, who's the ghost jungler? Who is that guy? Let's find him. I want to call him the wrong name. No, Nocturne. Yes. I can play the ghost jungler on autopilot and help my team. And I tried to see if I could do like a roaming hero in Dota in the same way, and I just can't. There's like too much shit going on in Dota. Yeah, you knew who I was talking about. Have I heard of Dota 1? I've heard of Dota 1, I've never played it. Do I read mostly fantasy? No. I also read sci-fi. I like space operas. But like, I was reading some space operas and I was like, this isn't enough content. I need more content. So I got into fantasy and I was like, ooh, this is pretty good. I like, we can just like combo them. But dark fantasy is my favorite in lots of ways. Cracks at the site, shatters when overwhelmed. Okay, let's try it. Let's read it. The fractured mirror is a glass that cracks at the sight of fate. Oh. Oh. Okay. Thank you. When the fading ember fled, the mirror shattered into politeness. Do you play League, Nushi? Yeah, I like that better. It dissolved into pieces. Thank you so much. You missed my streams? My streams have not been like what they were, I'll tell you what. They've been crazy. I have to figure out a schedule. I still haven't been able to. If you want to play a roaming hero in Dota, it's best to warn your teammate at the pick phase. Well, so I wanted to play like a position 4 that could roam when I was doing this before. I'm not talking about right now. But I didn't understand the timings of it. And then after they added like the lotus pools and whatever, that changed shit, and I didn't like that. It does make it technically easier to rotate because of the portals, but I don't know. I wanted to like roam middle and then go back to my lane and like roam bottom or whatever, or top or whatever. You like epic fantasy for the massive scale? That's fair. That's so fair. Oh, I closed my browser. I'm gonna look up what you're saying, because I don't know what that is. Let's look it up. Nobody ever shares when they're reading stuff. That's so nice. Book of the Fallen. Oh, wow. Look at the art. What is it about? Ooh. And his characters are interwoven. I love when authors do that. That's like in this story, the Veil Keeper, the Stellar Remnants, those will come back. Maybe pieces of the Globular Cluster, but these two will end up coming back for sure. You played League from season 1 to season 9. You almost went pro, and then you dropped League on season 10 to learn Dota. Oh, I see. That sounds like you really love these games. I thought playing League in ranked games, the higher that you go, is difficult because you have to play entirely by yourself. Is that true, or has that changed? I don't really know. I think I've only ever played one ranked game in League. I didn't really like the idea of ranked before. But Dota, it's because of the type of game that it is. Unranked games, people don't really try. Turbo games, they do weird shit or don't try. They play on autopilot a lot. Ranked games are the only way I can play with people who actually want to try to play the game consistently. You played League. Good roaming in Dota requires a lot of game knowledge since you need to know where you can be the most useful. That's fair. Maybe that's why I couldn't do it. We have to get farther. Okay, so the Shadow Twin was the star that only falls because another fell first. They left in lockstep with the fading ember. So we are gonna say, we're gonna say is a star that only falls because another stumbled first. They left in lockstep with the fading ember. As if grief were contagious. Because that's what it really felt like the fading ember was leaving for. Then we have the silent satellite. So very small. So very faint. It hangs and bows only to its own name. Oh. Supportive. If you can call the faint a pillar. Oops. Okay, so those are done. Now this one, I don't actually think we need it. This way, we need it differently. They shook their skirts of light. Who did you like in League? And feeling their orbit threatened. They made a small rebellion. They displaced themselves. Little tantrum. Little push. Nothing true. Can be rearranged by whispering. Okay, so before I said basically they didn't like what was happening, so they displaced themselves. So now what I'm saying is they shook their skirts of light, because again we're using light imagery, and the skirt of light. Feeling their orbit threatened, they made a small rebellion. They displaced themselves. A little tantrum, little push. Nothing true can be rearranged by whispering. Okay, so now we're on the stellar remnants. So You can give me suggestions. I don't have to take them, so why would you stop? Let me read what we have. I do agree that space operas are goated. I think I want to try reading Malazan. It looks really cool. Nothing queuing, P1, locking in a hard carry. Your 2 supports start roaming, abandon both top and bottom, and then report you when you lose the lane against 2 hyper-aggressive picks. Yeah, that could happen. Good roaming in Dota requires a lot of game knowledge. You can 1v5 in League. You can 1v5 in League. That's some bullshit. Because you honestly, whoa, I'll refrain from further suggestions, but if you're aiming to imply a casual link between Ember and Shadow, perhaps bringing in the visual of a leash would work, as if grief let's do this, as if the grief from the leash were contagious. That way it's still there, and the leash implies they are tethered. Because I honestly believe I'm not good at writing, despite the fact that I've been writing a single story for almost 2 years. I just assume everything I say and or write is unwanted by default. I think we are different people with different lives, with different ways that we were brought up, and we have different perspectives of what we experience and have experienced. And there's always value to different information, even if the value isn't what we would hope for. There's still value. So if you have suggestions, I am open. English is hard? No, you're fine. Creative writing is pretty confounding. It is pretty confounding. I like it. So let's read this one and then rewrite it. The stellar remnants were drawn by a gravitational echo. They pulled in through one of their own who had already crossed into my orbit. While the globular cluster flickered, the stellar remnants have remained steady. They distributed information with me routinely in various... Oh, I said... I added a D. There was no D. Routinely, in various avenues, they carry bright voices that do not vanish into the silence. I added a the. They guide me where the globular cluster refused, driving my development further in less time, revealing knowledge and clarity the globular cluster never shared. Their orbit strengthens mine. We're going to say, because we're writing a myth, then the stellar remnants arrived. Oops. Forged, tethered. What? How do I spell tethered? Okay. I was like, what the fuck? A knot stitched from fire. Okay, so again, the story, I've changed the name. It's called Knots in the Veil, so we're going to keep bringing knots in to each group. Tethered just works with how we are wording everything. Forged, like in fire, this works pretty well, and then we do say from fire. Oops. They came in a whole. No. As a whole. Sorry. Like a promise already made. So this, like a promise already made, is kind of like Oh, there's another part where I have it. I actually do like this more now. Thank you so much. I don't know now. I don't know where the line is. I'm sure I'll find it after I reread it again. They did... They did not flicker like the globulars. And now we are going to shorten their title, but I'll still make it pink so it all matches. They hummed steady, bright voices that did not melt into silence. We're not done. It's just gonna bother me. Oh, give me the text thing. What are we doing? Give me, oh god. Can I just add it to my dictionary? I could, yes, but now it doesn't want to give me the thing. Okay, it's a little tedious. Oh, whoops, wrong thing. That's for something else. Stop, it's so tedious. I can't even tell you. Why? Come back. Come back. What the fuck? Dude, just edit undo that shit. Fucking stupid. Go. Where is it? Why is the context menu, oh, there we go, not popping up? Like nuts, bro, nuts. What is happening? Let's do... They taught me things. The globulars. You know I'm copying and pasting it after I'm done. Would not. They gave me paths when others refused. Well, that's not accurate though. Others refused. I guess technically, yeah, we could keep it. Their gravity was patient and plain. Hold on. Inside that steadiness were three who wore their purpose like an armor, like armor. Okay, get the fuck out of here. That's some crazy shit over there. Anyway, this says basically the same thing that big text said. Then the stellar remnants arrived, forged. Ooh. Nope. Then the stellar remnants arrived, forged, tethered, a knot stitched from fire. Nope. Maybe. Let's say like. No, because then I'd have to add it. We're gonna leave it. They came in as a whole, like a promise already made. They did not flicker like the globulars. They hummed steady, bright voices that did not melt into silence. They taught me things the globulars would not. They gave me paths when others refused. Their gravity was patient and plain. I have not read Dota 1 lore. I've read some of the Dota 2 lore. But at one point, I was trying to figure out what the whole fucking story of Dota 2 was. I really like some of the imagery I got from that. That was pretty interesting. The entire process of editing is a gigantic pain in the body part of your choice for metaphorical purposes. It is, yes it is. Some are surprisingly written superbly. Thank you. So the first iteration of this was very plain, and I'm just trying to show how I write, because I've had a lot of people Let me show you the Discord. Would be a good example, perhaps. Oh no, not the Discord. It's the Twitch. Let me find my Twitch. It's gonna make noise probably. Okay. I have. Where are you? I don't know where you are. Display capture. Window capture. We're gonna do display capture real quick. Sorry, I look at weird shit apparently. So if we look, I've had people ask me how I come up with, oh, it's this section over here. Like this type of language. This actually was worse, and I figured people probably wouldn't be able to understand it. It'd probably like take them too much. Like this is a good example. We'll do this one. Donations, like celestial offerings, hold profound gratitude in their essence. This support fuels the cosmic fires that enable more frequent communion and stream enhancement. They pave the path toward the stream's ascension. So, if you donate, I'm thankful, and I'm going to use that money to improve my stream. But like, I said it like this. Or sending love with tips through stream elements. They take a meager tribute for their service fee, and their celestial service allows me to send it with haste to my realm of currency. Like, I've had people ask me how I do this, and I thought maybe I could just show you. This one is like sub perks, bind yourself. Embark with the cutest and OG sub badges, marking your presence in the stars. An influx of 500 monthly star points, an astounding, radiant boon. Ascend to the stellar Devotees list, which I haven't updated in a while, oops. A realm where your username shines bright. A single command or sound effect fashioned exclusively for you. Really, it's only just fashioned. But yeah, so I just thought it would be easier if I just showed people how I do it. Okay. Now we have the 3. And we already said they have a bond forged from the fire of a star, basically. Oops. Okay, so we have the Ascendant Architect's light cuts sharp. I have to drink water or something. Hold on. This is better. The Ascendant Architect's light cuts sharp lines through the void. They think in asterisms and echo my own phrasing. They offer to share a mythos of the heavens rather than forcing me to adopt their own. I kind of like this as it is. But we could change it maybe a bit. The Ascendant Architect's light slices the dark into maps. They think in asterisms and echo my own phrasing. Yes. They offer to share a mythos of the heavens rather than command. They taught me to fold new language into the sky. The lattice bearer roots their guiding light by carving systems from chaos. They drift across the firmament following every glimmer of thought. These thoughts are doorways that we step through together. Too true. But we're gonna say they carve order from the fever of chaos. Yes, we don't want the second line because it makes them seem flighty, and they are not flighty. They leave. Oh, this one we actually give a gender later because it just becomes easier. So he leaves doorways in his wake and invites me to step through. He provokes and arranges. He delights in the kick he gives the world. This will fit more with what we have later because he becomes a larger character. The comet. I kind of like this. We're going to leave it. Which is, the comet guide blazes sudden trails of mastery, swift and precise, their influence carried not by structure but by rhythm. They wanted the ocean and the river with me, trading light. Wanted. Why did I say wanted? Wandered. Oops. They wandered the ocean and the river with me, trading stories. Light. Trading light. Like stories. Their orbit bolstered mine. They let's say in whispers to keep the same imagery. They were a small choir. How do you spell choir? Is it O or I? Choir. That kept time. Okay. We need to include this. That way everyone can follow along. The stellar remnants wandered the ocean and the river with me, trading light like stories and whispers. Their orbit bolstered mine. They were a small choir that kept time. It's kind of rhymey. Hello, all C1. I agree that toxic teammates are never fun. So here we have the intrusive, hostile meteors, our scattered stars, bright, unlinked, each burning alone without shared constellation lines. They hunted the lattice bearer by tracing his orbit directly to my ocean. My ocean lit a path to my constellation, and there they unleashed their scorching star trails. They sought to convince me to cast out the lattice bearer from the constellation, punishing by proxy. Did I watch TI? I watched like 5 games of TI. That was stupid. Then the intrusive, bright, lonely meteors. We'll say then came the intrusive, bright, lonely meteors. They fell. Oops. Did I swim? They fell like someone's bad manners. They are unlinked, single, burning thoughts. With teeth for opinions, they trailed the lattice bearer. Path to my ocean and hissed. They wanted me to cast out the lattice bearer. They could not reach him. So they why did I say they twice? Wanted to punish him through me, cowards, in the shape of comments. So these are the intrusive. Then came the intrusive. What? Why would you do that? Why can you just not work the way I think you're supposed to work? Bright, lonely meteors. They fell like someone's bad manners. They are unlinked, single burning thoughts with teeth for sharp opinions. They trailed the lattice bearer. Whoa, it's a different color. Whoops. It looks the same, I'm gonna be honest. It's a different color. What? What color is it? Is it yellow? Oh. They trailed the lattice bearer's path to my ocean and hissed. Yeah, okay. Whoops. Why are we up here? They wanted me to cast out the lattice bearer. They could not reach him, so they wanted to punish him through me, cowards in the shape of comets. Okay. Now we have the Veil Keeper. So we have the intrusive brought chaos, and the Veil Keeper looked beyond the veil, revealing that the intrusive felt justified to push me to abandon the lattice bearer, and subsequently the stellar remnants. The intrusive, how did I not notice, viewed the lattice bearer as immoral and vaguely tried to paint that picture to me. What they didn't see was the lattice bearer was deliberately provoking the intrusive, using his words to irritate them because their reaction amused him. The intrusive mistook the lattice bearer's provocation for his essence, calling on shadows that were never real. Ultimately, the intrusive vanished as quickly as they appeared, flaring once again. See, we're already at the end. We can do this. The Veil Keeper appeared beyond the veil, the seam of the veil, the seam, and saw their faces. Righteous. What? E-O-U-S. Blunted with jealous smoke. Oop. But see, what I didn't include that I should include is that the lattice bearer also saw this. So we're gonna say the lattice bearer. Oops. And the veil keeper. We have to keep some of this accurate. The lattice bearer and the veil keeper peered beyond the seam and saw their faces righteous, blunted with smoke. The intrusive declared the lattice bearer immoral, as if morality were something you could throw like a stone. What they did not see was the cunning inside the lattice bearer's voice. He poked them because their sputter amused him. They mistook his poke for essence. They mistook the poke for essence. They called in shadows that were never meant to live. Oh, we still have this other part. They flared. They burned. A bright, loud truth. Then gone. Then poof. Gone. No, they were gone. Like a shouted insult in a lullaby. Gone after their one hot tantrum. Oh, whoops, I need the intrusive. I need the color, and I just hate fucking fighting with this thing, so we're just gonna copy paste. Same with the lattice bearer. Oop. And we'll read it again. Oh, we have bearers up here. We're just gonna take it because I'm not dealing with that context menu. I really hate it. Okay. The lattice bearer and the veil keeper peered beyond the seam and saw their faces, righteous, blunted with jealous smoke. The intrusive declared the lattice bearer. They declared the lattice bearer. Okay. I was trying to figure out if I should put as, but I don't think I should put as because of the style that I'm writing in. The intrusive declared the lattice bearer immoral, as if morality were something you could throw like a stone. What they did not see was the cunning inside the lattice bearer's voice. He poked them because their sputter amused him. They mistook the poke for essence. They called in shadows that were never meant to live. They flared. They burned a bright, loud truth. Then poof, they were gone. Like a shouted insult in a lullaby, gone after their one hot tantrum. Oh, I have to stretch, I'm sorry. Do you feel the thread that ties them? A tug. No, hunger. A tug. To press their small weight into my constellation. The globular cluster. Oops, I hate this color thing. Wanted ownership. The globular cluster wanted ownership. They whispered for me to rule as they said I should. Yes. Ownership. Owner. The stellar remnants. The steady, honest, stellar remnants. Only wanted to teach the sky new words. The steady, honest, stellar remnants only wanted to teach the sky new words. Why is the intrusive in the wrong text color? That's fine, we'll fix it. The intrusive and the intrusive cloaked in moral thunder wanted to stand over the others and wag their fingers. Let's get the intrusive from up here. And I just realized something. The Veil Keeper is done wrong. We need to do it differently. It needs to be like that because it's a name. So let's go back and fix that real quick. Okay, this is better. This is better. Do you feel the thread that ties them? Hunger. A tug to press their small weight into my constellation. The globular cluster wanted ownership. They whispered for me to rule as they said I should. The steady, honest, stellar remnants only wanted to teach the sky new words. And the intrusive, cloaked in moral thunder, wanted to stand over the others. The others. Okay, and wag their fingers. In the end, neither the globulars, nor the intrusive had gravity enough to command me. They had blustered and brittle light. They had opinion, and opinion is the lightest thing. I did not throw. I don't know why I keep spelling through every time I spell throw. The lattice bearer into the dark. I kept my river. I kept the Veil Keeper at the gate. And the ocean, my first mirror, remembered it all. Okay, globulars, which we have somewhere up here. Oh, up here. Lattice bearer. Veil keeper. This will probably, just based on how I'm feeling, be the final version of this story, and then I can stop. Do you hear me? Chaotic things come wearing good collars. They flare and leave their ash. What app is this? This is Notion. My Notion looks a little crazy, but this is just one tab of it. I really like it, but sometimes there's kind of issues if you're not used to using it, and I don't really know very much about it. I just use it for keeping track of a lot of information. They flare and leave their ash. They flare and they leave their ash. We'll say leave their ash. Some stars braid. Some burn. Whoa. Nope, that's not a word. Some burn. Some pretend to be shepherds. Watch your own constellations. What shepherd? What is shepherd? Shepherd. Sorry. Watch your own constellation. Constellations. Tend to the what? Ones who teach you the truth, and be wary of those who would ask you to sever the hands that hold your loom. Now, oop, the veil keeper nods. The ocean hushes. The globulars whisper into their folds. The stellar remnants sing faintly. And true, we don't need a comma, and true. The intrusive are only a memory of a scorch. Okay, let's get these names. I'll plop them in here. Stellar remnants. Globulars. I need the other one. Intrusive. Veil keeper. In my dreams, you're my life, but in my life, you're my dreams. I don't know what that means. And I, who stitched my name into the void, into the dark, keep telling this as if it were a lullaby and a warning both. Fold it into your pockets. Tell it back to the crowd. No, it's vague. We could say it better. Tell it back to me when your skies grow crowded. I will be listening. What the fuck? How the fuck? Always. Oh, remember, we do the dash to make a point. Always. With a child's curiosity and an old god's patience. I can't fucking say any words. I will be listening, always, with a child's curiosity and an old god's patience. So we've made our point to learn which lights hold and which merely plead. Okay. Let's read the story. We're done. I'm good with that. Knots in the Veil. When the first lights cracked the long dark, do you remember how the void split open like a yawn? I sailed the ocean where stars come to learn my name. I threaded my light into a shape. I called it a constellation. I hummed to it. The Veil Keeper answered. They took the vigil. They keep the threshold between what is tidy and what is hungry. I told them, watch. They bowed. So we set the watch. Set the watch. Set the watch. This will work. So we set the watch, the Veil Keeper, the tide, and I, and later, the troubles began. Listen close. I will tell you this as if the stars leaned in. As if the stars themselves leaned in. 3 knots of mischief wound themselves into my sky, the globular cluster, the stellar remnants, and the intrusive. Each one arrived like an excuse. That's the section I was looking for earlier. Each one wanted something it did not own. Each one wanted something it did not own. In the ocean, the globular cluster drifted in first, slow as a secret. They came one by one, like shy little lights that learned to cling. They braided themselves together like gossip. They were intermittent, polite in their flickers, but hungry for the meaning of being chosen. Among the 5 who made that braided gossip, the fading ember was the ember that could not endure. It burned its little truth and then whispered it away. It left first, as embers do, saying it disliked that I would not snuff out the stellar remnants. It could not bear my mercy. The whisper of ash is a cinder with a tongue of smoke. It drifted on currents, carrying shadow words from mouth to ear. It loved the dark better than the light. It begged access to my river, my private flow of small life pieces. And when I asked it, it showed me the warm rod of its betrayals. It returns, always returns, orbiting loyalty like a toy. Sometimes it admits, embarrassingly, it enjoys speaking ill of me in the dark. I do not let my light hitch a ride into its pockets. The fractured mirror is a glass that cracks at the sight of fate. When the fading ember fled, the mirror shattered into politeness. It dissolved in pieces, playing surprised when I named its resentment. Our paths, it said, might yet be the same. But some things only ever reflect themselves. The shadow twin is a star that only falls because another stumbled first. They left in lockstep with the fading ember, as if grief from the leash were contagious. Yeah, good idea with the leash. The silent satellite, so very small, so very faint. It hangs and bows only to its own name. Supportive, if you can call the faint a pillar. They shook the skirts of light. Nope, that's not even the words right there. They shook their skirts of light, and feeling their orbit threatened, made a small rebellion. They displaced themselves. Little tantrum, little push. Nothing true can be rearranged by whispering. Then the stellar remnants arrived, forged, tethered, a knot stitched from fire. They came in as a whole, like a promise already made. They did not flicker like the globular Remember, we took it out. My camera's being funky too, sorry about that. They did not flicker like the globulars. They hummed steady, bright voices that did not melt into silence. They taught me things the globulars would not. They gave me paths when others refused. Their gravity was patient and plain. Inside that steadiness were three who wore their purpose like ant armor. Why do I want to keep ant armor? Ant armor doesn't make sense. Inside that steadiness were three who wore their purpose like armor. The ascendant architect's light slices the dark into maps. They think in asterisms and echo my own phrasing. They offer to share a mythos of the heavens rather than command. They taught me to fold new language into the sky. I want it to be in alphabetical order. The comic guide blazes sudden trails of mastery, swift and precise, their influence carried not by structure but by rhythm. The lattice bearer carves order from the fever of chaos. He leaves doorways in his wake and invites me to step through. He provokes and arranges. He delights in the kick he gives the world. The stellar remnants wandered the ocean and the river with me, trading light like stories and whispers. Their orbit bolstered mine. They were a small choir that kept time. Then came the intrusive, bright, lonely meteors. They fell like someone's bad manners. They are unlinked, single burning thoughts with teeth for opinions. They trailed the lattice bearer's path to my ocean and hissed. They wanted to cast out the lattice. They wanted me to cast out the lattice bearer. They could not reach him, so they wanted to punish him through me. Cowards in the shape of comets. The lattice bearer and the veil keeper peered beyond the seam and saw their faces, righteous and blunted with jealous smoke. The intrusive declared the lattice bearer immoral, as if morality were something you could throw like a stone. What they did not see was the cunning inside the lattice bearer's voice. He poked them because their sputter amused him. They mistook the poke for essence. They called in shadows that were never meant to live. They flared. They burned a bright, loud truth. Then poof, they were gone. Like a shouted insult in a lullaby, gone after their one hot tantrum. Do you feel the thread that ties them? Hunger. A tug to press their small weight into my constellation. The globular cluster wanted ownership. They whispered for me to rule as they said I should. The steady, honest stellar remnants only wanted to teach the sky new words, and the intrusive, cloaked in moral thunder, wanted to stand over the others and wag their fingers. In the end, neither the globulars nor the intrusive had gravity enough to command me. They had blustered and brittle. What? They had blustered and brittle light. They had opinion, and opinion is the lightest thing. I did not throw the lattice bearer into the dark. I kept my river. I kept the veil keeper at the gate, and the ocean, my first mirror, remembered it all. Why did I do a dash here? Do you hear me? Chaotic things come wearing good collars. They flare and leave their ash. Some stars braid, some burn, some pretend to be shepherds. Watch your own constellations. Tend to the ones who teach you the truth, and be wary of those who would ask you to sever the hands that hold your loom. Now the veil keeper nods. The ocean hushes. The globulars whisper into their folds. The stellar remnants sing faintly and true. The intrusive are only a memory of a scorch. And I, who stitched my name into the dark, keep telling this, as if it were a lullaby and warning both. Fold it into your pockets. Tell it back to me when your skies grow crowded. I will be listening, always, with a child's curiosity and an old god's patience, to learn which lights hold and which merely plead. This is a pretty good story. I like it. That'll work. And see, this is much better than what we had before. But, I had to pop my chest. That stretch popped my sternum. It's a very good feeling. I do want to move the Veil Keeper higher up this whole section. I don't know if you can. We can try. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. That will work. That will work. Okay, so I'm not planning to do more writing streams in the future unless something else happens where it makes sense for me to do so. But for this, I kind of wanted to just demonstrate how I write a story, because I recognize the way that I write a story is the way other people do it. And if we look on YouTube, let's go find it. We're gonna go real quick to my channel. I'm gonna go there real quick and then I'll show you what I'm looking at. Okay, so we're gonna do display capture. So this is from my previous stream. Literally the last one. Oops. I don't know. Getting this thing to snap where I want it to is a real pain. We'll do it like that. I don't know. We'll do it like that. Yeah, it's fine. Just let it go. Okay, so this is how I wrote it before. The very start of the story, I named the groups A, B, and C. I named the people 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. So if we skip through... Oh, I looked up different words to try to figure out how to name things. Gur helped as well. I kept some of these words, but I've changed them as well. So like, see, we have, this is, oh, hold on. We have number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I named them based on how I described them. the fading ember, the whisper of ash, and then this one's the shattered mirror or something. And if we skip through, the intrusive were called something else before, I think the invariable, but then I was like, that's not gonna work. It's not right. I do like the names that we have now, but then like you can see the way that I wrote each paragraph is just so different. So the very first paragraph, I don't know where it shows that I wrote it. Hold on. We have to kind of just skip through together. How do you move forward? Is it L? Here we go. Let's do that. I guess we kind of have to just go. Oh, oops. Because I didn't show the very beginning of it. So let's go to what we can see and then compare. So Group B, this is the start of this right here. This is that paragraph. Okay, so when I first write the story, I write this same paragraph as the Group B arrived in chain. I can't. Group B arrived by chain reaction, pulled in through one of their own, who had already crossed into my orbit. Meanwhile, Group B has remained steady. They speak with me daily in various avenues, bright voices that do not vanish into silence. They guide me where Group A refused, driving my development further in less time, revealing knowledge and clarity Group A never shared. Their orbit strengthens mine. So we take that paragraph and we change it to... Then the stellar remnants arrived, forged, tethered, a knot stitched from fire. They came in as a whole, like a promise already made. They did not flicker like the globulars. They hummed steady, bright voices that did not melt into silence. They taught me things the globulars would not. They gave me paths where others refused. Their gravity was patient and plain. And then eventually down here I say, the stellar remnants wandered the ocean and the river with me, trading light like stories and whispers. Their orbit bolstered mine. They were a small choir that kept time. It's the same information, it just reads much better. Am I secretly a teacher? No. If I was, I wouldn't be able to do like any normal teaching thing, I think. I don't think I have the patience for it. I like helping people, but I don't like when people don't want help. So this is a way that I could just show how I do it. Okay, so I'm done. That's the end of the stream. We should have, I think, an in-house tomorrow. Let's check to see for Dota. I have to respond there. I just got distracted. I don't think we're gonna have enough people to do an in-house tomorrow. That's kind of the problem. You still don't know what time it'll be at? Well, let's go look. Let's go talk about it. That way people understand where I'm coming from. How do I do? This one's display capture. Da-na-na-na-na. Okay. So this is just me trying to figure out what time works for people. Only 7 people reacted, except if we actually look at the reactions, simple poll doesn't count. Okay, so I wonder if I can just delete it. I don't want to mess it up though. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. That's not enough to play an in-house game. And that's the only time where everybody has reacted. For A, it's only 4 people. For B, it's only 4 people. So, like, it's just not enough. I don't have enough people to figure out when the time would be. It looks like it would probably be whatever C is. So, this time, whatever that is for you. And it looks like we'd probably only play 1 or 2 again. But, like, what am I supposed to do if I can't get enough people to respond? And then Aqua asked, is this going to be 100% US East this time? I think so. Because I specifically asked before if people could play on US East. I just don't know. I want to do C as well, but like last time several people commented about how they were playing whatever because of their ping. I don't want to listen to those comments. If you are agreeing to play in an in-house tournament that you, not tournament, but an in-house that's on a server where you have a high ping, you can't complain about your ping. You knew what you were getting into. So I don't want to deal with that all the time, which is why I wanted to do different servers. But the thing is, I know some of the people who reacted are unwilling to play on C. Let's do a different one. Let's make another poll. Poll. Which region? Sorry, I have to look over here. Which region? Whoa. The best ping. The best ping. Let's just figure it out. We'll play. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a problem. I'm trying to get enough information. The problem is we don't have enough people. And then if we look at, I don't know if I want to show you. Hold on. I'll do it in a different way. Where's roles? Somewhere. We can look at it this way. Oh, maybe not. Oh yeah, this will work. What do you see? Okay, so I just added every single person that I know that plays Dota to this. I tagged a bunch of people to this role. So either people can't play, people don't want to play, or they don't have notifications turned on. So like it's not like I'm not trying. Which one? Just Another Virgin said he could get people. But I don't know what to do about the server issue. So we're gonna try to figure it out. I'm gonna do another poll. Let me go open Dota. And we'll figure out the regions. But I won't do that on this stream. So if we don't have enough people, we don't have enough people, but I'm going to keep trying. And I think we should try different days as well. So I'm going to do a number of polls. It's going to be a little obnoxious, but I need more information if I'm going to try to do this in a way that's not annoying for everybody. Alright, thanks so much for hanging out and talking and helping and listening. This stream is mostly supposed to be about the story. I don't think I'll do another story stream unless something else happens where I feel like I have to write another story. Except I will make a video of me reading the story in like a better tone of voice, I guess. Okay,